So on the subject of independent media, I'm dying to know your thoughts on TYT and Kasparian. So I'm not going to put you in a place where you have to attack them. But from my perspective, I feel like it's sad to see this because we've all been in the space for a while and we've seen this 100 times. Dave Rubin, Jimmy Dore, what's his name, Russell Brand, where little by little you start to you pick one or two issues and then you start buddying up with the right. And I see this
Kyle Kulinski just dropped a bombshell about TYT's radical transformation. This isn't just about Cenk and Anna anymore. It's about a systematic pattern we've seen destroy progressive media over and over. Let me show you exactly how this playbook works.
with TYT and Anna Kasparian, and I'm curious what your thoughts on that are.
Before I answer that, I'm curious your thoughts on, do you think it's going to go fully in that direction? Like, do you think it's genuinely going to end up like a Jimmy Dore or a Dave Rubin?
You hold up, the pattern is already crystal clear. Every progressive creator who's made this pivot follows the exact same steps. First, they reach across the aisle. Then they start attacking their former allies. Finally, they fully embrace right-wing talking points. We saw it with Dave Rubin, Jimmy Dore, Russell Brand, and now history's repeating itself.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
If you asked me this a year ago, I'd say probably not. I was in that position where you were in probably with like Joe Rogan, where it's like, no, I think that you should try to reach these people. I think that maybe there's just a genuine agreement. But to me, with time, it's become apparent that like both Cenk and Anna, they just don't want to listen to good faith criticism. And you know, we all kind of like talked about this in different ways, like on Leftist Mafia, for example. And what really struck me is how, they just disregarded the arguments that we made. It was not in bad faith, even though they don't want to, acknowledge that. It wasn't in bad faith, but they said it was in bad faith. And for me, I think that moment that really like clicked with me, like, no, it's over, was when they went after Emma Vigeland.
This is the smoking gun. When they attacked Emma Vigeland, someone from their own inner circle, it exposed everything. This wasn't about principled disagreement anymore. It's the classic isolate and attack strategy we've seen from every progressive turned right-wing creator. They cut ties with their closest allies first.
Because Emma Vigeland, they know her more than they know us. I was part of TYT Network. You were part of TYT Network, but we didn't have that close relationship. I never was at TYT Studio. I think you were only there a couple of times. So, like, there was that degree of separation between us. But just to see them disregard the criticisms of the left. I mean, we all criticize each other. You and I have had debates like in DMs on Twitter about fucking specific healthcare bills and shit like that. But we never I never thought, oh, Kyle's a fucking grifter. And I don't think you thought the same about me. It was just disagreements that we were hashing out. And even I said something about Wolfpack on my show, and Cenk had reached out to me privately and said, hey, the people at Wolfpack think that you got this wrong. And so I'm like, oh, shit. I don't remember what it was in particular, but I brought on one of the directors of Wolfpack on my show to correct the record and talk about Wolfpack. And it's like, it's one of those things where we're all going to eat shit. We're human beings. We don't have massive, production crews. We kind of just get on camera and we say what we think. And so there are going to be times where we trip on our own dicks. We have to eat shit sometimes. And our peers are the best people to hold us accountable. Like, if some random YouTube comment says, hey, Mike, fuck you. You said this. You're a terrible, terrible person. I'm going to disregard that. But if Kyle reaches out to me and says, hey, Mike, I think that you really messed up here, that's when I'm going to think, oh, okay, well, if Kyle's saying this, he's been doing this for a long time. I respect him. He respects me. So that, to me, is why I think TYT might actually just be straight up gone. Because they've tuned out all of the people that were closest to them, that respected them, that they respected. And now it's just right-wingers, Glenn Beck, PBD. And it's not a bad thing to go on these shows at all. Going on Temple and whatnot, but it's what you do when you're on these shows, right? Like, you were on PBD and you criticized them.
Crucial distinction right here. Kyle's showing us the difference between genuine engagement and grifting. Real progressives challenge right-wing narratives directly. They don't just nod along for views. Compare this to TYT's recent appearances where they're suddenly agreeing with everything their right-wing hosts say.
Challenge them.
Yeah, the whole thing was a debate. The whole thing was a debate.
The entire fucking thing was a debate. Mm-hmm. And this was the same criticism that we had with Jimmy Dore when he started going on Tucker Carlson. Like, I don't care that you go on Tucker Carlson. I'm not trying to, police where you go. You're a grown man. But if I were on Tucker Carlson, I'm going to speak truth to power. I'm going to criticize him for the white supremacy that he's espousing. And I don't see that. I see them going on these shows, attacking the left. And to me, it's like, okay, you know what? maybe 5 years ago, I would still be more charitable. A year ago, I'd be more charitable. But I feel like we've seen this show so many times. It's a rerun. And I actually think they're less subtle. Like, I think Anna is less subtle than Dave Rubin's grift at this point in time.
It's almost like they had kind of the opposite reaction as me. So, like, in 2016, it looked to me like they were fully in resistance mode, where it was like,
Yeah.
man, we're going to fight on everything. We're going to fight tooth and nail on everything. Fuck Trump in every imaginable way, even to the point where, you know, there were some areas where I disagree with them on like Russiagate type stuff. I was like,
Yeah, same.
I don't agree with these particular criticisms that they're making, but it seemed like they were in full on resistance mode, and they maintained that all the way up seemingly until recently. And then the mindset, so in the same way as like I was trying to like find bridges or areas of agreement from 2016 on, and then eventually I realized, shit, this didn't work. And I flipped, and now I'm being super aggressive, and I'm the one that's resisting. And for them, it was resist, resist, resist. And then just recently, it's almost like they just got tired of doing the we're in the resistance, we're going to fight everything. And now you hear Cenk's big thing is like, we got to unite the populist right and the populist left, and here's this area and that area where we can agree. But what I would say to Cenk in reaction to that is, it's not like they're completely and utterly full of shit. Every single one of them. That's even the, and God bless Bernie. I love him. I don't think Bernie's a sellout by any stretch of the imagination, but his strategy on this has been like, I agree with Trump that we should cap credit card interest rates at 10%.
Connect the dots. This is exactly how the right-wing pipeline works. They dangle populist promises they never intend to keep, knowing their audience will forget. When they inevitably break those promises, TYT is falling for, or worse, knowingly participating in this exact same bait and switch.
And I agree with Elon Musk and Doge that we need to cut the Pentagon, and he's putting that out there. But here's the thing, Bernie. They're not going to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. They're not going to cut the Pentagon. And then when they don't do those things, all of those MAGA accounts are going to pretend like they never supported capping credit card interest rates at 10%. They're going to say they never supported cutting the Pentagon, and they're going to go wherever Trump wants them to go, because MAGA is effectively a cult. And so what I would say to Bernie is, I know where your heart is. I know you're trying to do what you think is the right thing and get them in a gotcha and hypocrisy burn them and say, see, they were lying, etc. But they're immune to the hypocrisy burns. And so the real strategy is to upfront say, look, these people are full of shit. They're full of shit. They don't mean a goddamn word of what they say. And I will put in the same category, I'd put, the PBDs of the world and the Tim Pools of the world and the Joe Rogans of the world. Like, do you think Rogan, like when Trump starts doing objectively horrible shit, do you think Rogan is going to be on his show like, man, I really disagree with this? Like he did back in the day. Remember when the child separation policy was happening and Rogan had on Duncan Trussell and he went on like a pro-immigrant rant where he was saying, yeah. And do you think that's going to happen this time around? No. He endorsed the guy who said he wants to do a mass deportation. And if Trump does do a mass deportation, Rogan's either going to say nothing about it or just defend it, right? And so I think that's the point, is like, as we've been saying, there are way more allies who are liberals or who are just independents than there are the populist right. I'm of the belief at this point, the populist right is fake. It's not real. They will flip on a dime to go where Trump wants them to go. And by the way, I know I'm right about this because, again, we have the first 4 years. I mean, already Trump has axed Lena Khan. Lena Khan was like the example of, oh, if they mean this and they're actually going to be populist, they will keep Lena Khan at the FTC. And they said, oh, J.D. Vance had said some kind words about Lena Khan. Maybe Trump will keep Lena Khan. And then we learned just last week, he's not keeping her. He's replacing Lena Khan with somebody who says, I want to stop the FTC's war on big business. So how many times do they have to fail this test before we call it for what it is? J.D. Vance pretends like he's a populist. He's not even in favor of raising the minimum wage. He dodged a question on that during the campaign. He's not even in favor of the PRO Act. He said he supports the $6,000 child tax credit, and he didn't show up for the vote on the $6,000 child tax credit, right? So it's just, I'm hoping, like I think a lot of people are, for just when something really bad happens, I'm hoping that there's some sort of an about face, right? And that TYT goes, hey, they didn't do the thing that I thought they might do, so now I'm on the warpath against them too. So I hope that that's the case. But we'll just have to see if that's the case. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to hold my breath on that, because I am notoriously, a horrible judge of character on these things, as
I
we
am too,
already just
brother.
went through. Like we just discussed
I
the
am
Rogan
too.
thing. I gave him credit for way too long. For Jimmy Dore, I gave him credit for way too long. For all these people, but what I would say is this: I really hope that that Cenk or Anna or both, they talk to Sam Cedar or they talk to
Yeah, I would love that.
John Idarola and Francesca Fiorentini, because it really does. They seem to think, as you sort of pointed out, that anybody who disagrees with them on certain issues, it truly is just a grifter and they're a liar. And, whether it's crime issues or trans issues, they seem to think like everybody who's on the left genuinely loves crime, right? This is something I've heard from them. So it's like,
Yeah.
I want them to talk to somebody who can rep that counter argument, who they respect enough to give them the space to make the argument, right? And I don't know if they'll do that. I'd be willing to have the conversation with them.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I would have no problem having that conversation with them.
Yeah,
but
because the bridge is burnt for a lot of folks. Like it's burnt between myself and them. But I mean, like, at least they could speak to Francesca or John or you. Because like, if you think that we're bad faith, that's fine. Because I've taken the gloves off. Like I'm kind of past the whole maybe we can save them. I can fix them. I don't believe that. But for the people who are still on good terms with him, I think that the fact that he's not having that conversation, and Francesca actually just said, I was watching The Vanguard, and they're playing a clip of Francesca where she tried to have a conversation between them and John, and Cenk denied it. So the fact that they're not doing that is so frustrating to me.
But yeah, it's this idea. Oh, this is what Cenk's been going around saying now. Like, when we disagree, let's disagree, and then let's like go have a beer after, and then where we agree, let's unite. This is like his big thing that he's going around saying now, and it's like, look, I understand that, but it gets squirrely when you say that like PBD's an honest actor or Tim Pool's an honest actor. You could have a conversation with them, but you can't have a conversation with Sam Cedar, right?
Right.
So,
that's what is.
I mean, that's
so
just frustrating. And Cenk had Hassan. Cenk and Hassan did that thing on Thanksgiving, and I don't know. It just seemed like it was sort of like hitting a brick wall a little bit, right? Like it seems like there's an impasse, and I think the point is like if all of your passion comes out and you get really like fiery.
Here's the devastating reality. While TYT chases right-wing approval, the actual right-wing media machine is perfectly unified, hammering home their message day after day. The progressive movement needs unity now more than ever, but instead we're watching another platform get consumed by the same pattern we've seen destroy others. If you're tired of watching progressive voices get co-opted by the right, hit subscribe and drop "Expose the Pattern" in the comments. These betrayals stop when we start calling them out.